Your methods are outdated and inefficient, he stated, glancing past me at his framed degree. We need modern solutions. My name is Ethan Crowley, 58 years old, and until 10 minutes ago, I was the senior systems administrator at St. James Medical Center in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 15 years of maintaining the digital backbone of a 300-bed hospital, erased in a 20-minute meeting. Blake Winter sat behind what used to be Dr. Harrison's desk. He was 42, held an MBA, and had no medical experience. After just 4 months as our new director, he was already swinging the axe. His consultant, Devin, stood by the window, thumbs moving quickly over his phone, probably updating his LinkedIn before I'd even left the premises. The consulting team will manage the transition to a cloud-based infrastructure, Blake went on. We've arranged a severance package, 2 months' pay, standard NDA. I nodded, feeling the weight of my ID badge pulling at my collar. In 15 years, not a single system crashed under my watch. Not during the ransomware incident in 2018. Not during the 2020 power outage. Not even when budget cuts have my staff and I pulled 80-hour weeks to keep things running. The security team will escort you while you gather your things, Blake said, sliding a folder across the desk. We'll need your badge and login credentials. I unfastened my ID and set it down. The master passwords are stored in the secure drive, fully documented. Excellent, Blake said with a rare smile. I'm glad you're being reasonable, Ethan. Change is tough, but it's essential. I looked over at Devin, probably around 30, already stepping forward like he owned the place. He hadn't asked a single question about our systems during his entire 3-week review. Is there anything else? Blake asked. I should have told him about the custom patches I developed. I should have mentioned how the old pharmacy system integrates with patient records. I should have warned them about the specific backup protocols. Instead, I just said no. Nothing else. I walked out with the security guard, passing the nurses who'd call me at 3 a.m. when systems glitched, past the surgical scheduling desk, where I rebuilt the entire database after it got corrupted, past 15 years of quiet, dependable service. In the parking lot, I climbed into my truck, placed a cardboard box of family photos and coffee mugs on the passenger seat, and drove away without glancing back. They didn't want my knowledge. They wanted me gone. It would be exactly 1 week before they understood what they had thrown away. I joined St. James shortly after turning 50. Transitioning from private tech to healthcare wasn't my original plan, but the economy had collapsed and Catherine's cancer treatments weren't cheap. The hospital offered stability and decent insurance. So I took the job and learned the ins and outs of medical tech from scratch. In those early years, I worked with Dr. Harrison, the former director. He knew what mattered. Fancy dashboards don't save lives, Ethan, he'd say. Reliability does. So I built reliable systems. Redundant backups, fail-safes, manual overrides where needed. Not flashy, but foolproof. I skipped vacations to upgrade the e-prescribing system. Missed my daughter Megan's college graduation for an emergency server migration. Catherine understood. You're keeping people alive, she'd say, before the cancer claimed her 8 years ago. The hospital became my home. The staff, my extended family. Nurse Jacobs in oncology always brought me coffee during late-night system updates. Dr. Patel in cardiology once dropped by with donuts after I fixed a major outage. Even Luis, the janitor, would chat with me during overnight maintenance windows. Everything shifted when Dr. Harrison retired last winter. The board brought in Blake Winter from a sleek hospital system in Chicago. First thing he did? Launch an efficiency audit. I noticed the warning signs right away. Blake never showed up to IT briefings. Never asked about system architecture. Sat through meetings checking his watch. Then came Devin and his band of consultants, all in matching polos, spouting buzzwords. Digital transformation, cloud migration, system modernization. I tried explaining. Our patient record system interacts with 17 separate platforms, some commercial, some built in-house. We've had to build specialized connections. Devin waved it off. We've handled dozens of hospital transitions. It's all standard. More red flags appeared. Charts mapping our infrastructure began popping up on whiteboards, but they missed entire segments. Important connections weren't addressed. My emails detailing security processes got polite replies, but no follow-up. One Friday, I caught contractors measuring my office. Just planning renovations. One of them muttered, "Not meeting my eyes." That night, I updated my resume. Some part of me knew what was coming, but another part still couldn't believe they'd fire the one person who understood how it all fit together. I was wrong. They didn't just want a newer system. They wanted a cleaner narrative. One without the old guy who kept pointing out what could go wrong. 2 days after I was fired, sitting at home amid classified ads and cold takeout, my phone buzzed nonstop. "What's the backup process for surgical scheduling again?" Alan from IT texted. "Where's the config for the pharmacy interface?" asked Denise, the database admin. I didn't reply. My termination agreement was explicit: no unauthorized support. The realization didn't bring satisfaction or relief, just a cold, heavy certainty. They truly had no clue what they'd done. Our hospital systems weren't just interchangeable software you could swap like a light bulb. They were complex, interwoven entities I'd cultivated over 15 years. Custom interfaces between incompatible vendor platforms, workarounds for regulatory constraints, manual protocols where automation failed. I had built it all. Of course, I documented everything. Hundreds of pages of technical specs, configuration details, and emergency procedures, all securely stored. But paperwork couldn't replace comprehension. It couldn't substitute 15 years of embedded knowledge. It couldn't replace me. My phone rang, Blake's number. I let it go to voicemail. "Ethan, we're encountering some integration problems with the pharmacy system. Just a quick question, call me back." I erased the message and poured another cup of coffee. 3 more calls came in that day, each voicemail increasingly frantic. I deleted them all. That evening, Dr. Patel phoned from his personal number. "Ethan, did you hear what happened today?" The emergency department couldn't retrieve patient histories for a trauma case. They had to call prior hospitals directly. It took 40 minutes to get allergy records. I closed my eyes. No one was injured. "Not this time," he added. "But Blake's team is struggling. There's talk of reverting to paper records, temporarily." A strange calm settled over me. It wasn't vengeance, and it wasn't triumph. It was clarity. For 15 years, I've been invisible whenever things worked flawlessly. My sleepless nights, missed milestones, and unrelenting vigilance kept the hospital humming. Doctors treated patients, nurses administered medications, and lives were saved, all because I kept the system breathing. And now, that system was crumbling. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said slowly. "Blake's been asking if anyone has your contact info," Dr. Patel continued. The consultants seemed overwhelmed. I thought of the backup server tucked behind a maintenance panel in the server room. The printed documentation sealed in a fireproof safe. The authentication chains set to expire in 12 days without manual renewal. "I wish them the best," I said. After we hung up, I walked to my desk and pulled out a business card I'd kept for years. Jennifer Walsh, Director of Technology at Riverside Medical Center. She tried to recruit me 3 times before. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted to be somewhere my experience meant something. I picked up the phone and dialed. By Monday morning, my inbox had exploded. 17 emails from Blake, each subject line more desperate than the last. Quick question about patient database. Urgent. Cardiology system failure. Critical need. Emergency assistance. I read them all. I responded to none. The severance agreement didn't require me to clean up their disaster. The final message dropped all formality. "Ethan, name your consultant rate. Whatever it is, we'll meet it. We need you. ASAP." I was halfway through composing a very polite refusal when the doorbell rang. Blake Winter stood on my porch. "Ty Askew," eyes bloodshot. "Ethan," he said, forcing a smile. "Thanks for seeing me. Can we talk?" I let him in, offered coffee, and waited. "We've encountered some unexpected difficulties during the system transition," he began, gripping his mug. "Devin's team is working nonstop, but elements of your setup are uniquely challenging." I nodded. Everything was thoroughly documented. Yes, the documentation is there, but he leaned forward. "Some of the custom configurations, these links between systems, they're not standard. Translation, They couldn't decode 15 years of tailored engineering in 5 days. Yesterday, oncology lost access to treatment protocols for 6 hours, Blake continued. The day before that, billing and insurance verification were offline. We're facing serious compliance issues and potential patient safety problems. I sip my coffee. Sounds like the modernization is progressing nicely. His jaw tightened. Ethan, I'm prepared to offer you a 6-month contract as a transition consultant. Double your previous salary. We need you to assist with the migration. The offer was laughable. After firing me, now he wanted me to train my replacements? I've already accepted another offer, I said. His coffee mug froze halfway to his lips. Where? Riverside Medical Center. Riverside? They're our direct competitor. Yes. Blake set the mug down slowly. Ethan, be reasonable. You built these systems. You understand them better than anyone. We're talking about patient lives. That hit hard because he knew it would. For 15 years, I'd prioritized patient care over everything. Family, health, even life itself. I agree, I said softly. Patient care is vital. That's why I advised against a rushed system overhaul without proper transition planning. I believe that email is included in the documentation. His face turned red. The board demanded immediate action. Modernization is essential for our future. I'll begin at Riverside next Monday, I interrupted. I wish you and your team the best. He stood. The desperation was replaced with resentment. Your severance includes a non-compete clause. You can't work for a rival for 6 months. I smiled for the first time. Actually, it doesn't. I had my attorney review it before signing. There's a non-disclosure clause, but no non-compete. I'm free to work wherever I choose. Blake's face darkened. This is about revenge, isn't it? Making us suffer. Because I let you go, I walked to the door and opened it. This wasn't just about leaving. It was about finding a place that recognized 15 years of dedication instead of dismissing it as outdated and inefficient. Good luck with your modernization, Director Winters. After he left, I sat down and finished my coffee. I didn't feel victorious or bitter, just drained and a bit sorrowful. My phone buzzed with a message from Dr. Patel. Administration in full panic mode. 3 departments down. Board emergency meeting called. I didn't respond, but I saved the message, not as a trophy, but as a reminder of what happens when experience is treated as expendable. By Thursday, the local news had picked up the story. System failures plague St. James Medical Center, patient care impacted. I watched from my living room as a reporter stood outside the hospital where I'd spent 15 years of my life. Sources within St. James have confirmed that several departments are experiencing severe technology breakdowns following a recent change in IT leadership, the reporter said. The hospital has been forced to fall back on emergency paper protocols while specialists attempt to restore essential systems. My phone rang. Jennifer Walsh from Riverside. Saw the news about St. James, she said. You holding up okay? I'm fine, I replied. Looking forward to starting Monday. About that, Jennifer added, I just got a very interesting call from someone on the board at St. James, Dr. Eleanor Hughes. I remember Dr. Hughes. Head of surgery. One of the few board members who genuinely understood what my team did. What did she want? To confirm that you've accepted our offer, Jennifer said, and to share some rather revealing details about what's happening over there. I sat up straighter. What kind of details? Apparently, Director Winters didn't decide to replace you spontaneously. He's been collaborating with Helix Solutions Group for months. The name struck like a blow. Helix Solutions, an IT company in the healthcare space, infamous for taking over hospital tech departments and then inflating prices once facilities were locked into their proprietary platforms. Blake brought in their consultants as part of a broader deal, Jennifer continued. Helix offered the board substantial initial cost savings if St. James agreed to transition to their platform. Blake would receive a performance bonus for cutting expenses. It all clicked. So, my termination wasn't really about modernization. It was about clearing the way for a corporate tech takeover. The board didn't fully grasp the technical stakes, Jennifer added. They relied on Blake's assurance that the switch would be seamless. I thought about the custom systems I'd built, solutions tailored to prioritize patient outcomes over bureaucratic efficiency. Tools designed for doctors and nurses, not billing software. How bad is it? I asked. Jennifer hesitated. Dr. Hughes said they've had to redirect emergency patients to other facilities. Critical care units are operating under manual protocols. The state compliance office is investigating. I shut my eyes. This was never what I wanted. I never wanted patients to suffer. There's more, Jennifer said. Dr. Hughes mentioned that before presenting the Helix proposal, Blake had every department head sign off on a tech assessment. That assessment labeled your systems as outdated, non-compliant, and high risk. That's false, I said, my anger finally surfacing. We passed every audit. We had 99.98% uptime last year. She knows that now. The board is starting to realize they were misled. After we hung up, I opened my laptop. There was an email from Dr. Hughes, sent about an hour earlier. Ethan, I owe you an apology. The board approved Blake's IT overhaul based on incomplete and misleading data. We've since discovered that the so-called outdated systems you managed were, in fact, outperforming industry benchmarks in both reliability and security. Blake and Helix provided distorted comparisons and tampered metrics to support their agenda. The situation has become serious enough that we've called for an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. I'd like to invite you to attend and share your insights. There's no pressure, but many of us would value hearing directly from you. No matter what you decide, know that several board members now understand the injustice that was done to you and to this hospital. Sincerely, Eleanor Hughes, MD. I leaned back in my chair, letting the truth sink in. This wasn't just about firing a faithful employee. It was about strategically dismantling a fully functional system for the sake of profit. I showed up at the hospital boardroom on Friday morning, precisely 15 minutes early, the same as I had for every meeting over the past 15 years. Several board members were already there, including Dr. Hughes. She greeted me with a handshake and a grateful nod. "Thank you for coming, Ethan," she said. "I wasn't sure you would." "Neither was I admitted. The room filled quickly with department heads, administrators, and physicians I'd worked alongside for years. Blake entered last, halting slightly when he noticed me at the table. Helix's consultant, Devin, followed him in, looking far less confident than he had the day I was let go. Dr. Hughes called the meeting to order. "We're gathered to address the ongoing system failures and reevaluate our partnership with Helix Solutions." She turned to me. "Mr. Crowley has graciously agreed to share his evaluation of the situation." All eyes shifted to me. For 15 years, I had worked quietly in the background, solving problems, receiving little to no recognition. And now, I was at the center of attention. The systems at St. James were developed over a span of 15 years to address very specific needs. I began. Every customization, every interface was created to solve an actual issue faced by our medical staff. These weren't obsolete systems. They were precision tools. I opened my laptop and connected it to the projector. On the screen appeared the detailed documentation I had carefully maintained, hundreds of pages outlining every element of the hospital's digital framework, everything necessary to keep those systems running, right there in black and white. "Here it is," I said. "Complete documentation, contingency plans, security protocols." The issue isn't the documentation. It's that Helix's system isn't compatible with the specialized infrastructure this hospital depends on. Blake cut in. "The compatibility problems are only temporary. Helix has successfully deployed their systems in dozens of hospitals." I brought up my second document, a thorough comparison I had prepared overnight. These are the hospitals where Helix implemented their platform. Notice anything? Dr. Patel leaned closer. "They're all new facilities or recently constructed." "Exactly," I confirmed. Helix performs well in hospitals built from scratch with their platform in mind. But adapting their system to existing hospitals with legacy setups, that's where they run into trouble. I turned directly toward Blake. And Helix knew this before they ever got involved here. Their own technical documentation, which I've highlighted, shows clear incompatibilities with our pharmacy and radiology systems. The board members exchanged uneasy glances. Dr. Hughes addressed Blake. Were you aware of these incompatibilities when you recommended Helix? Blake's confidence began to waver. The evaluation suggested that any transition issues would be minor. And that's the same assessment you personally oversaw? I interjected, bringing up an email I'd received from a former colleague. The one where you instructed staff to highlight system vulnerabilities and downplay stability metrics. The room fell quiet. I hadn't come seeking vengeance. I came to reveal the truth. The reality is, I continued, St. James cannot operate effectively on Helix's platform without compromising the specialized workflows that make this hospital extraordinary. Not without years of deliberate transition planning. Dr. Hughes looked at the others around the table. I believe we've heard enough to make an informed decision. Blake stood up abruptly. You're not seriously thinking of abandoning modernization just because of the opinion of a disgruntled former employee? Dr. Patel responded firmly. We've rerouted 67 emergency patients in just the past week. 3 surgeries were postponed. Medication administration errors are up 12%. Those aren't opinions, Director Winters. Those are facts. The board voted 20 minutes later. The Helix contract would be terminated immediately. An emergency restoration initiative would be launched to revert to the previous systems. As I packed away my laptop, Dr. Hughes approached me. The board has another offer for you, Ethan, if you're open to it. I glanced at Blake, still standing by the door, visibly defeated. I'm listening, I said. 3 weeks later, I walked through the hospital's front entrance, a new ID badge clipped to my shirt. Ethan Crowley, Chief Technology Officer. The recovery hadn't been simple. The Helix team had made substantial changes before their departure, some of which had damaged vital databases. My new team, a mix of familiar colleagues and new hires, had worked tirelessly to repair systems, rebuild interfaces, and recover lost data. Blake was gone, pursuing new opportunities, according to the official statement. I hadn't asked for his dismissal, but I didn't regret his exit either. I dropped by the cardiology nurse's station, where Nurse Jacobs lit up with a grin. Systems are running smoother than ever, she said. Patient files load in under 2 seconds. Glad to hear it, I replied. Any issues? Not since you returned. It's night and day. As I continue my rounds, Dr. Patel walked alongside me. Heading to the board meeting, I nodded. Quarterly tech review. First time I'll be at the head of the table, instead of standing in the back with a slideshow. We entered the boardroom, now filling with hospital leadership. Dr. Hughes, serving as interim director, nodded in my direction. Mr. Crowley, we're looking forward to your department's update. I connected my laptop to the projector. A dashboard appeared, showing performance metrics, uptime statistics, and comparison data from before and after the Helix incident. Recovery is complete, I stated. All systems restored. No data loss. We've added new safeguards to prevent future disruptions. Dr. Hughes examined the metrics. And what about the modernization efforts that Director Winters was so concerned about? I switched to a new slide, my 5-year roadmap for tech development. A thoughtful, methodical plan designed to improve systems while maintaining quality care. Real modernization, I said, doesn't discard what already works. It builds on it. The board unanimously approved the plan. 6 months later, I sat on my back deck, sipping coffee and watching the sunset. My phone buzzed with a message from Jennifer Walsh at Riverside. Heard St. James won the Regional Award for Excellence in Healthcare Tech. Congrats, almost colleague. I smiled and typed back. Thanks. Sorry for the sudden career switch. No hard feelings. You ended up right where you were supposed to be. She was right. I belonged at St. James, not in the quiet, unnoticed role I'd filled for 15 years, but now, as CTO, I finally had a seat at the table. A voice in decisions that shaped patient care. The hospital had learned a hard lesson. Experience isn't replaceable. Loyalty can't be dismissed as old-fashioned. I scrolled through my photo gallery to a picture from last week's staff appreciation dinner. My team, standing together, seasoned professionals and bright new talent, all contributing in their own way. A plaque on the table honored our department for outstanding service to patient care. In the 15 years before I was let go, I'd never once been publicly acknowledged for keeping the hospital running. Now my work was seen, respected, valued. Sometimes I wondered if Blake had taken anything away from the experience. Last I heard, he'd landed at a healthcare startup touting revolutionary disruption of hospital management. Some people learn lessons the hard way, if at all. I looked at my new ID badge lying beside me. I picked it up and ran my thumb across the words, Chief Technology Officer. I wasn't just the guy keeping the lights on anymore. I was helping shape the hospital's future. I never wanted revenge. I wanted recognition. Not for my ego, but for the truth. Experience matters. Some things can't be replaced, rebranded, or disrupted without serious consequences. Sometimes, the most forward-thinking move is simply respecting what already works.